Too many options. Too many options. Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to the new video. In this video, I'm gonna help you guys narrow down which longboard is best for you. So let's get to it. So there's a lot of things that go into finding the perfect board for you, and today I'm going to kind of go through all of those different things, what you want to consider, so whenever you finally make your purchase, you know you made the right one, and you can have a board that lasts you a long time and you enjoy it for a really long time as well. The most important thing you can do is decide which style you want to get into. So for a lot of you, you might just want to get into cruising, and we're going to go through a lot of boards that are great for that. But you might have seen some of my YouTube videos or other YouTube videos where people do a lot of the tricks and a lot of the dancing, and so that might be really interesting to you as well. There's also a lot of different styles out there like freeride and downhill, and all of these different styles have different aspects that you want to consider before making your purchase. So if you don't know what style you like yet, just hop on YouTube, start browsing different longboarding videos, figure out what captures your eye the most, what you really want to get into, because yeah, that's going to be the most important thing that you want to figure out before we get started. Sweet, so you've decided what style you like the most, but how are you going to decide on a board that fits that style properly and fits your style properly? So first of all, we're going to go through each style, and I'm going to kind of talk about all the aspects of a board that you want to consider to make sure it's perfect for what you want to get into. So the biggest aspects of a longboard that you want to consider, first of all, there's the length of the board, which is pretty self-explanatory. Second of all, there's kicktails, and if you don't know what a kicktail is, I have this for example. This is the Apex double concave 34. And right here from the outside bolts to the end of the board, this bit is going to be called the kicktail. You also want to consider the concave of your board. So something like this is pretty flat. You can see from here to here, there's only a bit of this kind of shape. That's called the concave of the board. And some boards will have a bit more of this, will keep you more locked in. Some boards will be more simple and kind of not have too much concave at all. Here's another example of a board with concave. This one, as you can see, is a little bit more aggressive. It's got kind of these angles right here, and this can all help to keep you a bit more locked in. Another aspect you want to consider is the flex of a board. The flex is the bendiness of the deck itself, which really comes down to the construction of the board. So if you're standing on your board and you jump in the very center of it, sometimes you'll feel a bit of a bounce of the deck bending, and that's just called a flex. So you want to consider that as well. And you want to consider wheel wells or wheel cutouts. On this board right here, as you can see, right where the wheel is, there's a bit of this cutout shape, and that just gives the wheel a little bit more clearance when you're turning left and right, which is also something to consider. So anyways, let's just get into all the different styles that I mentioned before, and I'm going to talk about some specific boards that are best for that style so that I can help narrow it down for you guys. Let's do it. So first up, let's talk cruising. For cruising, you can use almost any board, but the best ones are going to have just a little bit of flex and have a simple concave as well. You also want to be able to carve a lot whenever you're cruising, so a board with a little bit of a wheel well or a wheel cutout is perfect for that as well. I have this board right now, for example. This is the original Pintail 43, and if you look closely, you can see there's a bit of a cutout right here so that the wheels can have a bit more clearance and you can turn a little bit more. So these cutouts or wheel wells will allow a lot more turning and make a much more pleasant cruising experience. This board also has a very simple concave, as you can see. It's pretty flat going across the top, and it's got a little bit of a flex as well. So it's going to be an overall really good board for cruising. Some other boards that are good for cruising are just really any other pintail size. There's also boards like the Derringer 28 from Original Skateboards. It's a little bit shorter, but still really good for cruising because you can carve even tighter, and it's super portable, so you can take it really anywhere you want. Next up, we're going to talk freestyle. So for freestyle, the main thing is you want to have a board with kicktails. You also want to have a bit of a shorter board. An ideal length would be somewhere between 28 and 43 inches. And you want to have a bit of flex, but not as much flex as you would if you're getting a cruising or carving board. So for example, I have this Apex Diamond Drop 37. This is one of my favorite boards for freestyle. It's got the kicktails like I had mentioned. It's got a little bit of a flex, and overall it's just really fun for freestyle. It also has these little nose guards. These are called PK nose guards, and you just replace them anytime your kicktails get worn down, so you can always have a really good pop on your kicktail and it makes it super easy for doing tricks. So yeah, really any Apex board from original skateboard is going to be good for freestyling. There's also the Arbiter DK and a few other boards that are great for that style. Next up, let's talk dancing. So for dancing, the most important thing you want to have is a longer board because that gives you more space to cross your feet around. You also want to have a board with a little bit of flex, and you can have kicktails if you want because a lot of the time people will combine dancing with freestyle. You also want to have a pretty simple concave. Some boards that are good for dancing, we board like the loaded Bangra, the loaded Tarab, the Majutsu boards are all great for dancing, or the Apex 40 double concave. Really anything with a flat surface and somewhere between, I'd say, 40 and 60 inches is great for dancing. Alright, next up we're going to talk freeride and downhill. For freeride or downhill, you're going to have something with more of an aggressive concave, because that way wherever your feet are on the board, they're going to stay pretty locked in and your feet won't slide off the board whenever you're going sideways, going really fast, anything like that. And yeah, for a length of these boards, it doesn't matter as much. It all kind of comes down to your height and your preference, but I'd say roughly 34 to 44 inches for freeride and downhill. Some boards that are great for this would be like the original Maven 35, the Vector 37, or the Drop Freeride 41. A lot of the people also like being super low to the ground for freeriding, so something like the Drop Freeride is super low and super stable, makes it really fun for sliding. Overall, super reliable boards. So yeah, that pretty much covers all the different styles, but a lot of these boards can cater to multiple different styles based on the way they're made. Say for example, you want to do some cruising with a few small tricks here and there. You can get like a little cruiser board with just a single kicktail on the back. That way you can pop those tricks and you can still have some easy fun cruising around and carving. For example, the Derringer 33 would be really good for that sort of style, just kind of ollieing up curbs, maybe a few kick flips here and there, that sort of thing. Another example, say you want to do mostly freeride with a few simple tricks in between. There's boards like the original Freeride 41. It's pretty long, great, stable for freeride. It also has decent sized kicktails on either end, so you can have the ability to do tricks between your lines of sliding and kind of mix all the styles together. But if you want to combine everything, say freestyle, freeride, dancing, there's not as many boards for this, so a lot of the times you'll kind of have to sacrifice a bit of one for less of another. But personally, I really like the Apex Diamond Drop 40. It's a really good all-around board. You can still do dancing on it. It's got that concave to keep you locked in for sliding. It's got the perfect kicktails to do all your tricks. So now that we've covered which boards are best for your style, I want to briefly touch on wheels and trucks, because I know that a lot of you guys will be wondering that. But I may make a separate, more in-depth video to cover trucks and wheels. However, basically, if you're getting into cruising, I'd always suggest a bigger wheel because you'll be able to roll faster, it'll feel smoother. If you're getting into freestyle, I'd probably suggest something smaller because it'll weigh less and it'll make it easier to get bigger tricks without being weighed down by your big old chunky wheels. If you're getting into dancing, it's pretty similar with cruising. You want to have something big just so that you roll faster. And if you're combining dancing and freestyle, you gotta choose between one or the other, big or small. Sometimes you'll just kind of go in the middle, I'd say around like 69, 70 millimeters. Then when it comes downhill, you want to go really fast, of course. So I'd say a bigger wheel would be good for downhill. You can go as big as 80 millimeter. I've seen 85 to 90 millimeter before. But really it comes down to preference. And yeah, and that's about it for wheels. And then as far as trucks, honestly, I love the Paris V3s. The Paris V3s are great for really everything. If you're going super fast, you might want to get something a little more stable like the Paris Savants. However, the V3s can really cover all of your needs. And you'll want to go with a 50-degree truck if you're getting into more carving, freestyle, dancing. Or if you're going into more downhill and freeride, you want to go with a Paris V3 43-degree truck. That's going to have a bit more stability and be a bit more suitable for your style. So that was a pretty quick rundown of trucks and wheels. But if you guys want more detail on that, I can make another video for you guys and kind of explain all the best stuff for that. So I know I'm biased, but I really wanted to stress the capabilities of the Apex Diamond Drop, especially when you equip it with the PK nose guards. I have a full rundown of what these nose guards are and how they help here on my channel, so if you want to click the link in the bio, I can show that to you. But yeah, basically these kicktails just help your board last forever. You just replace them whenever they get worn down, and they give it so much more pop. So this has really got to be the best freestyle options on the market, is the original Apex lineup. They're also super versatile, like I said. You can do a lot of freeride, downhill. You can really do any style with them. But yeah, there's a lot of great boards out there, and depending on your style, if you want to stick with one style or multiple, I hope this video kind of helped to narrow all that stuff down and kind of help you determine which board is going to be best for you. Anyways, if you guys have any more questions, hit me up in the comments below. I'll do my best to help you guys find the right board for you and get you guys out on those streets safely and having fun. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. See you guys later. Peace.